Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 250. Or, wait, 249. Sorry. I had in my head 250 because I was like, oh, once we do that, I'm going to say it's 250. But anyway, welcome to 249 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
Karak, how are
we'll
you
never
doing,
get
my
through
friend?
one perfect, will we?
No, definitely not. Not with me as a host. That's for damn sure.
I fuck it up all the time too. It doesn't matter.
Just because for me, man, I always come on these. I mean, I have less of an excuse because you do 2 podcasts before this, but I come on after working on videos and editing all day, so I'm already a little fried come the podcast time.
Brain's in a weird spot.
Every time. I can't help it. So we thank you for dealing with my stuttering and stammering and allowing Karak to pick up the slack for me. Anyway, we hope all of you are doing well. As always, this is our weekly gaming podcast where we just cover some of the hottest news. We like to unwind, as you can tell, after a long week of work. And we hope that you are all doing well out there, once again. With that said, we all have Patreons here. I run one that connects to the early access for this show for just $1. We have the Patreon Discord where we get involved with questions from you, the listeners. And last episode, more than half the episode was focused on that. So we make sure we give all our attention to that because you guys are really participating and also elevating the show. Karak has one as well, which is always linked in the description down below. Karak, if you got anything going on, as always, I'd like to pass it to you.
I think it is pretty much a couple reviews like Gears Tactics, but other than that, nothing's patron specific. Not at least that, I could talk about and then people wouldn't hold me accountable if I've missed.
Right. Yeah. I've been getting a large influx as of late.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Large influx for sure.
Yeah, so I was just like, I wrote like a little post thanking people and just saying, introduce yourself, send me a message, just because some people will join and they'll post on the wall on the Patreon, that little section where you can do like public posts. And I never get notifications for that. I have the notifications for Patreon on my phone. And so when I get a message, I know. But when I get like a post on the wall, I just don't see it. So some people will be like, hey, I didn't get a Discord invite. And I'll just not see it at all. So I was like, hey, send me a message. Let me get to know you.
Definitely.
Hook them up with a link. Do you have problems with that sometimes? Like Discord just not connecting to the Patreon and people just not getting auto invites?
Yep, a number of times actually. And what I usually do is I'll check the messages because people will respond. But I would say, 20% of my messages every month are people saying, hey, Discord didn't work. Now, a lot of it's just because they didn't take the steps and they think we do it. And you can, but if you give them an auto link, or if you give them a manual link, it may not shut off if they leave, which isn't that big of a deal. But like, let's say you banned them or something, they might be able to just jump back in. It's sort of rough, dude. The honest truth is the worst part about the YouTube channel is probably the behind the scenes for YouTube and getting a video posted, and Patreon for anything. Patreon's back end is nasty. The email system is horrendous. Like working in the back end of Patreon is just, it's old. Feels like it's from
I remember we
20
talked
years ago.
about that because I said when I did like customer support, if you will, and I got like an immediate response and it was really helpful. And you're like, dude, what?
Yeah,
that was a couple of years ago though, so things change.
Well, I still have 3 tickets in from 2 years ago that have never been looked at.
Oh
yeah,
God,
it's ridiculous. Such is life, though. Well, we will we will get back to you in much quicker time.
Yeah,
me and
which is all you need.
Yep, which is all you need.
What games are you playing? I know you mentioned Gears Tactics. I don't think that's out yet as of this time.
Gears Tactics is not. I'm doing SnowRunner right now. I've been playing a bunch of that. And I'm able to give general impressions because that's really not, other than the review, it's really not out there or anything. That's been fun. I did the review for XCOM Chimera Squad, which was a complete surprise. Really? Completely a 180 from what I expected. And it was probably one of the best surprises this year. Wow. Yeah, dude, it's 20 plus hours long for $9 and it's a blast. Like, it was ridiculous. I was just playing it and I remember playing it and I'm like, I'm done with the first of, I could figure it out. I was like, I think there's 3 investigations. I'm done with the first one. And I looked, it was like 9 hours and I was all, oh, I must have left it on overnight. And then I went and I have a little thing that tells me how long I've been on the computer. And I'm like, I was playing that entire time. And then I got to the end of the second one, and it was like 19 hours. And I was like, Jesus, you're kidding me. So yeah, it's a very, very well done expansion. One of the best not expansions. What would you call that? Side game?
Standalones.
Standalone that I've seen. Yeah, SnowRunner, and then a shit ton, dude, of Breaking Point and Wildlands. A metric shit ton. Probably.
Why?
I think I have. So
Why do you do this to yourself?
Because I wanted to see if I was wrong. So it's been patched, and I was like, let's go back and play Breaking Point, right? Everything we had talked about, it's all there. So I was like, all right, no problem. But I do remember particularly not loving Wildlands. I liked it more than Breaking Point, but I was like, I didn't love it. So I went back and played Wildlands, and it is so funny, dude. I don't remember my review, so I went and listened, and what my review said is exactly what I would say right now. Like, it's like,
so sad.
It's not terrible. It's just not engaging to me. It's like Blandlands, but it still is better than Breaking Point, which blows my fucking mind. I had so many. I don't know.
Such an anomaly of a series for us when you really look at when we've tried to get into it. As someone who loves SOCOM, it really looked like a game that would speak to me. You know, the squad shooter, taking down areas, but put in an open world setting. You know, you got a little Ubisoft-itis in there, so there's just tons of checklist things to do. I really thought that'd be a game that was sort of how Assassin's Creed was before the big overhaul, where it was just a good detox open world title. But it's just, when it comes to the Ghost Recon series now, the last one I played that I liked was, I think, Future Soldier. It was like that was really good. I think that was on the Xbox 360. That was a very fun game. But when it comes to Wildlands and Breakpoint I didn't even bother with. I was just like, no,
dude, it's
terrible.
crazy. It's not a sequel. I mean, I am legitimately, I absolutely guarantee you, if I turned them both at 4K with all the settings up and had you play both, you would for sure think Wildlands was the next one, not the other way around. Dude, Breaking Point has the same two dudes on a motorbike 1,000 different places on the map. It is the creepiest thing. You just go hill, two dudes, motorbike. Go over to the next hill, two dudes, motorbike. Then another two dudes. And there's no lie. There's one time that I have on film where I'm standing in the middle of a fucking field. I look to the left, two dudes in a motorbike. In front of me, two dudes in a motorbike. And to the right, two dudes on a motorbike. And I'm just like,
I believe that because Ubisoft just tries to spawn like dynamic things constantly.
Yeah,
so
where Wildlands at least had people walking around. Breakpoint doesn't. Graphically, It looks worse. Yeah, dude. It was so anyway, long story short, I was playing those to just to go back and look at some of the old titles and like sort of refresh myself on what I thought of them. And unfortunately, pretty much the same, except Breaking Point doesn't have AI. And I really think that was a huge misstep on their part. I don't know why they didn't have it in this game.
Like just a big hole in the design. There's no AI.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was more intrigued about XCOM. What separates this one from, say, XCOM 2? I know you have like the set team. Is there still recruiting? What's so good about the gameplay? Because I like the XCOM gameplay, but for me, the investment comes in with, say, XCOM 2. I'm recruiting people. I'm making their bios. I'm naming them after my friends. I'm invested in their skill trees that are progressing. If they die, they're done. Is it the same framework there? Like, what's different between Chimera Squad and 2, for example?
So admittedly, I didn't become in love with my character, even though I named them and all that. This new one, basically, they're named, and they have awesome skills, by the way. Some of the best skills that, like, their skill integration between multiple people on a team is fucking phenomenal.
So it's very different from...
It is past. Because... well, you know why? Because if you and I bought skills on our own, we may not buy the ones that worked well together on a team. And these guys obviously were like, let's make sure it feels good, you know, if you put these certain people on a team. So there's that. The breach mechanic, dude, I want it in every XCOM game in the future. It's the fucking coolest thing in the world. The breach, it's not only that you're breaching, it's that it gives you positives and negatives. They require sometimes special items, whether it be armor or breach charges or key cards. Also, if you do that, then it takes a spot in your inventory and it takes money, which isn't really something you have a ton of. So there's just to breach takes 3 or 4 decisions. Like, how am I going to do this? And the easiest way to think about this is XCOM is really location to location. And XCOM Chimera Squad is just like an old-time SWAT game, or an old-time, a really old-time game. Instead, it's 2 or 3 rooms, not 2 or 3 rooms in a building in a flat area. And I gotta say, that was one of the problems I had with XCOM, as well as Phantom Doctrine and others, is that because it's so big, you want to go even farther, and then you're like, oh, I can't go over there. What happens here is they built the level to make sense that it was in a small area graphically.
Gotcha.
So you go in a 3rd story, the 2nd story doesn't have a fire escape. So you're like, I can't run around my grenade blast. Like, so you throw grenade and it's on fire in the room and you're like, I can't get by that. What the fuck am I going to do? Because you can't run out, break through a window and come back in. So now you're like, oh shit. So your strategy, dude, like I was sitting there, first time in a long time, I've had a piece of paper and I'm like, okay, if I do skill number 1, and that takes like 4 turns for the fire to stop for the plasma grenade. That's the 5th turn, which is this guy's this. And then some people have the ability to raise other people's initiative. So you have your little tree of initiative. And there's not only the main skill, everybody can use it once, or one person can use it once in a mission, which allows for anybody in your skill tree to be first or go up higher. But you also have 1 or 2 characters that have a skill that gives a person a single action point. And you've got like the snake character on your team now. So instead of not only attacking people with your tongue, you can retreat with your tongue, which is awesome. So I was at the end of a level, my guy was getting his ass kicked. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave. He'll have a scar, which is their version of death. He'll have a scar and I'll deal with it. And then I was like, wait, can I use the tongue lash on my own guy? And you can. So I grabbed the guy from all the way across the level, pulled him all the way to the exit, and we got out. And I was just like,
neat.
That is fucking so fun. Yeah. So
what are these scars? You said
so scars are when you die, an android can pop in that you buy to replace your dude if you want them to, and they're generic one mission androids. They look like a robot. So they're not really cool. But what is cool is on the harder difficulty, by the way, IGN was like, scars don't mean anything. That's because you're playing on medium or small or low difficulty. If you play on the hard difficulty, what scars do is they give a massive attribute negative to your character via a physical deformity. So it'll be like fucked up leg, mobility minus 40%, which is redonkulous. So then you can send them to physical training, like phys ed, like at a hospital, and they'll work around that location for like 2 rounds, and he'll come back with a scar gone. And you have like concussion, -20 to intelligence. And then you send him to like math class. It's not called, I can't remember the name. It's not math class, but it's like that. And it's like, we'll teach him how to relearn skills. So when he comes back, his psi ability or mental ability is as high as it was. It's for a $9 game, Maddie, that fucking thing is super long, super fun. And you know, it does have issues. Worst voices in the fucking world. My God. Dude, they have a snake guy and they didn't even do his voice. So it's literally just a person going, I'm a snake guy. And you're all, there's no vocal. And in my review, and I cut this, I actually went into Premiere and I fucked up his voice with a modulator. And in my review, I state, here's what you can do with 4 seconds of modulation. And then I removed it because I was like, you know what? That's being a dick. Like, I don't want to be the reviewer who's like, I'm better than
expectation.
Yeah, well, not only that, but the resources. I don't know what resources they had. So, but I will tell you this. It did only take 4 seconds. But anyway, long story short. Yeah, so the aliens are people, if you get my drift. They sound just like people, which that bothered me. But dude, yeah, you should check. If you like XCOM, that is $9 that even with some issues it has, I think you would really like.
Well, I love XCOM, so that's why I was very curious. I just knew I wouldn't have time immediately to play it.
Yeah.
My other question is about, I guess, is there, I imagine not, but there's not like base management or anything. You know how like XCOM, you're always doing like the meta game of training people and whatnot. Is that there at all?
Yeah, but it's now the city, not the base.
Okay.
So you're not building out your base. You're putting people in locations to do particular things like craft weapons and go do that training I talked about. And a couple others, but now you're basically watching over a city, and there's 6 boroughs, and each turn the borough may go up a certain amount of points of anarchy, and to get it to go down, you have to go there and do a mission, or as you level up your teams, do special moves, which like, a politician's speech, which drops the anarchy. If the anarchy continues to go up, then you get huge negatives in battles and huge negatives for money and stuff. And you have a big bar that's like anarchy of the city plus the anarchy of the boroughs. And so your management is more putting out field teams. You remember how a lot of MMOs have that dumbass side quest thing where your guy just disappears for it'll be like he can go talk to a politician for +1 gold or whatever, and you don't go anywhere. You just hit go, and then like 1 hour later your NPC shows back up. That's what these side teams are. Right, okay. So yeah, so there's these
kind of like Assassin's Creed where you like send them out on a boat and they go to all these different
that's exactly you're absolutely a better example. So that's exactly what you do with these side fire teams that you hire. And and then there's 11 named characters, I'm sorry. And then there's, androids that you can upgrade, which is great. It's just the idea of a guy waiting for your dude to die to drop in is like the idea of a basketball team with 4 people and then the 5th person runs on when there's an issue. You're just like, that makes why aren't you here? Like, why aren't you here all the time? So interesting. I didn't like that, but the lack of death did not in any way, shape, or form. It feels good, Matty, because it's SWAT. If you had a SWAT team where like 3 guys died, they'd just close a SWAT team. They'd be like, something's wrong. Like, these guys suck. And since it is a smaller whatever, I think it works. I'll just say that I don't think it's a cop out. I think it actually works.
Well, yeah, and it's also a little easier to forgive, if you will, which I don't think you're doing, but I'm saying for those who maybe share what I feel, which is I like the permadeath. I love the investment of people I create. That it is $10. That is easier money to spend than 60, 40. Yeah, if you're not a huge fan of it, like getting and we don't do number scores here, but for a lot of folks they do, like getting a 7 out of 10 for $10 is a great deal. So exactly. Some people probably would be thrilled regardless, or easy to forgive.
I think you would like it as long as you know those things. I think you would, even as a big XCOM fan, I think you would be able to work around it and actually really like it. Other than the characters not being, I don't know why they're named, Matty. That's the one thing I said. I was like, why name them if you're not going to have them cool? Because there is not a fucking fun dude in the bunch. They're like, my name is Bob and I like cats. And you're just like, why are you named then? So what you get,
the budget in the title in that
regard. And you get a bunch of NPCs that just have a shit ton of voice acting but you can't name them. I think I will admit the plot does involve those characters. I will say that. So the plot,
I thought as much.
So I guess that is honestly fair, because in fact, very deeply with some of those characters, the plot does intertwine with their pasts. So
I'm sure it's a rhetorical question from my perspective, but is the story any good?
Are you one of those guys who doesn't like the aliens and humans working together kind of thing? Have you heard all the hubbub about that? People are really pissed.
I haven't heard that at all, but I do find that a little strange now that I know that, because wasn't that XCOM? You like spend 2 games just fighting aliens.
Well, there's a reason. So like it's a weird.
More curious.
Yeah, I don't know how people will take it, but it is the future they said they're going with if they do a third one. It makes it's a pretty okay story. It's better. See, the problem is, Matty, is like Phantom Doctrine, which I know you liked. I didn't have an issue with the story in particular, but I didn't find that story very good. I don't find those stories very good usually. So I'll say this one is status quo with the rest.
Yeah. The only reason I think Phantom Doctrine stands out is just because it's I think Cold War, and that's just very
and a weird combat system. Yeah. Remember? Yeah. If you could, how was it? It was like if you can aim at the guy, you'll hit the guy. There was no 99% and I still missed him kind of shit.
It was very realistic to a T, if you will, and there is it was very exaggerated. You know, like in XCOM, it's like it feels like every action you do costs those points. It felt like in that game they multiplied that, like carrying people out. Like there was no quick way to save people if they were down, reviving, shooting, everything, reloading. It just felt like everything cost points, which definitely knocked it down. So that game sounds interesting. I'm gonna definitely look into that when I got a little more time to play something new, because I'm personally still on Persona 5 Royal. I'm 50 hours in now. Since I wrapped up the main story.
So 1/10 of the way, Matty?
Yeah, I actually, what's funny is I think that's barely halfway, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it, which is nice. It's easily going to be my game of the year at this rate. And I know some people are like, oh, but it's Persona 5. Again, it doesn't count, but there's so much quality of life changes. And that's honestly, that word quality of life's doing it a disservice, because usually it sounds like there was something that was inconvenient in the prior game that needed to be alleviated. This is more like, oh, they just added stuff in. So I should say really it's new mechanics. But there's just so much brand new stuff in here. I have yet to get to the third semester, which is like the new story, the majority, I should say, of the crazy new story content and the new palace, where there's just, it apparently changes the whole game, changes the ending. I've just heard nothing but fantastic things, so I'm very excited to get there. I've been putting a lot more time into it now since I finished the main story of Wastelanders on stream. But I do still need to hop back to that a little bit more and wrap up some of the endgame content. But just balancing those two has been tough. And it doesn't help that I picked up a new MOBA, Karak. I finally moved on from Smite for a little bit here. Not because I was tired of Smite, but I just needed something new in my DNA. It's definitely not like what's the word I'm looking for? An outlier when I made my selection. My buddy started up playing League, and I was like, okay. Let's see if I like this, because I've played hundreds of hours of Smite. I'm sure I can carry some skills over into that game, and it's been fun. And, that's the best way to describe it. It's fun to have a game where like 5 of us are just getting to a party together and playing, especially since it's been like 2 months of just straight like single player games, which I love. Right. But it's just been really cool to just hop in an online game and team up and experience something new for me. I know League has been around for a while. I tried it stupid long ago and did not like it. Smite kind of got me into MOBAs because it was the third-person action, which assimilates better with me. Now that I'm a little older, more experienced, I think I'm more accepting of what League is, and I've enjoyed it. So that's what I've been playing on and off at night. But yeah, it's just been Persona 5 Royals, the main focus, alongside 76.
Do you like League's fiction and stuff like that? Does that kind of stuff interest you at all, or is it all about gameplay?
That's the thing. No, it's really just a new MOBA to play. It's really as simple as that, because I like the champions, like they're cool, but with Smite, because it's third person, the camera's lower, so you get a little bit closer in on that person you're playing as. You can see some of the animations close up. It just vibes with me a lot better, I'll be honest, but League is good gameplay wise. It's fun and a good new challenge that I needed. Like Smite was sort of sometimes, oh, here we go. Here's a night of just mostly kicking people's asses just because we'd played so much. There were definitely nights where that was not the case, but it's just nice to have like a new challenge where you got to learn a game, you got to learn routes, who's good where, what's the meta, what are builds, how do items work here.
Did all your friends move with you?
Not all of them who play Smite. My friend Tyler, who just, he's always into multiplayer games. He's the one who kind of pulled me into it. So I tried it out. One of my mods from Twitch, he hopped in with us, and then one of my very close friends in real life as well. Turns out he already had it installed and was playing like a week ago, and we were like, come play with us. And then Tyler's other friend joined us, so now we just have this squad of 5, and it's been cool. It's been really fun. Yeah, it's a nice, fun change of pace. But that's what I've been playing. And anything else before we hop into the news? All right, just perfect. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a pretty substantial piece of information that dropped the morning of the day we're recording on Friday. Horizon Zero Dawn has a pretty interesting future. We're going to get into all of that today. There's an article from videogameschronicle.com. We're going to be reading the tweet by Nebelian, because when I read the article, it didn't feature anything that added additional context that the tweet couldn't fit. So Nebelian wrote, according to VGC, Sony is planning to turn Horizon into a trilogy. Horizon Zero Dawn 2 shifted to PS5, described as, quote, gigantic, end quote, with more freedom to explore and a possible co-op mode. There's also a possible standalone co-op game coming that carries progress over to Horizon Zero Dawn 2. What do you make of the trilogy? What do you make of the scope and scale and co-op, as well as a standalone? Just a lot to take in there.
Yeah, I wonder if the co-op's going to be some kind of gameplay that's not exactly the same as the other, you know? Almost like playing a mobile game and then logging into your desktop version, and it's like it,
Night and
adds
day.
something. I don't know. To me, I guess it doesn't surprise me because I always legitimately thought it was going to be it just seemed like that kind of game. So I expected it to be a trilogy of some kind, or at least another title. And moving to the PS5, I think that makes sense. I will say that in the current market, man, whenever you say something is locked down to like a family's platform or whatever, now with the money the way it is and the world the way it is, I'm like, because I mean, dude, I now legitimately don't know anybody who's upgrading. Nobody. They just do not know what's happening. So it's just like that is moving it. Hopefully they just
PlayStation just had. I'm just saying, PlayStation probably had to know that or have heard that maybe, because when we look at what Xbox and PlayStation have said about there not being many exclusives right off the rip, I think a lot of people have lost their enticement to make the jump. So that might explain why they've moved this that was originally, as I'm reading here, supposed to be exclusive to PlayStation 4 to the PS5.
Well, hopefully it just means it's both.
I would hope so too. I would imagine based off what they said, but it could also be, we need a next gen game.
Yeah, exactly. Like we want to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to conflate my predictions with this information here, but I have been saying for probably the better part of like a year and a half on this show that I really do think Horizon Zero Dawn 2 would be a launch title for the PS5. Apparently, co-op is a feature Guerrilla has long intended to introduce to the series, and it's understood PlayStation was equally keen to see online functionality implemented in the sequel. That's the one part where my brain froze up on. Co-op in Horizon, because it's not like, I don't want to spoil the game, but it's not like another PlayStation exclusive where characters are introduced and we're like, oh, like that could be two people doing
side character.
Yeah. I can't think of in Horizon, Aloy, and I haven't played Frozen Wild, so maybe I'm missing something, but I can't think of who.
My personal opinion is there's a good chance, Maddie, we won't see Aloy in it as the main character too.
Oh, you think?
Just because after playing the Frozen Wilds and playing that, where she ended up wasn't an end or anything, but that story arc doesn't have to continue. And if they want to do like, this is the story of two hunters, a brother and sister, like Jacob and Evie from Syndicate, I think that would make sense. Also, the idea of you and I fighting a fucking giant Tyrannosaurus, that's pretty hard to like.
Kind of like
suck.
Monster Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you were like, and plus robots and laser beams. Like most kids are like, that's for me. So the idea of a co-op in that mode, the only problem is you got to make sure those robots, which had very specific ways to take them out in the original game, are still able to be taken out in both ways, co-op and. Because imagine going into the game by yourself, you don't have a co-op friend. You got to make sure it's still, so like Monster Hunter where you can still take them on, it's got to be that way. It can't be something completely unique. The problem is the more unique you want to make something, the more your filters are needed to get you to that point. So it's like if somebody says, work together, it's going to be the coolest thing, working together, blah, blah, blah. Then you have to go, okay, what if I'm not working together? Now what? And that's usually what ends up falling apart. So I'm excited for it though. Hey man, yeah. I think the games are fucking awesome. I mean, awesome.
I agree. I think the combat in Horizon Zero Dawn is extremely fun. It's probably the part that sticks out to me most. What I was going to ask is if you share the thought that some of my friends and I have been discussing in general, because one of my buddies was playing Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time, and it really wasn't grabbing him. And as he was talking to me about it, I realized compared to other PlayStation, literally every other PlayStation exclusive, rather, that not a lot was sticking for Horizon. It wasn't as memorable for me personally as the other PlayStation exclusives that have come out over the last set of years. Do you share that at all? Has it aged well for you?
Like what? Like in what in comparison?
Like in story moments.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, what are the other games you're talking about? Like a Spider-Man or God
like
of War?
Spider-Man, God of War, Bloodborne. Those types of exclusives where they're very definitive PlayStation exclusives. or remembering things for the wrong way, kind of like the Order 1886, where we sit there and I think maybe that sticks with us a little bit more because we're like, this could have been so much more. And there's been rumors that that's going to come back, but we'll see in due time.
I would say, since I don't know about Bloodborne because I haven't played it enough, so maybe this is going to answer in that way. I can say I personally remember more about Horizon Zero Dawn by a good amount than God of War. I liked God of War, though, a tremendous amount. However, God of War was really just God of War. It had Kratos already. So the idea that it was going to stick more makes sense to me because it's Kratos already. This is a new character. But to me, dinosaurs and laser beams stick with me more than burly dude with sword and axe, even though I love and think it's incredible burly dude with axe. And Spider-Man, I think, is phenomenal, but it's Spider-Man. So it's almost like you can't even say it's by itself because it's Spider-Man. So I don't know. I'll just say that whenever you and I are talking about PS4 exclusives, it's Spider-Man and Horizon, or Horizon and Spider-Man in that order. And then God of War is literally like, I have to think about it. And I liked God of War. I just think those two. So for me, no, it stuck with me. I'm just a dude. Dinosaurs and laser beams. Like, that's hard for a guy my age. And it might have missed you. It might have missed you.
I think
it might not be as cool.
In the long term, the thing is with Horizon, I love the universe. I think, like you said, robots, lasers, dope. But also I guess maybe my expectations initially were in the wrong place, so this could be why it helped the game a little bit, but I wasn't expecting something truly post-apocalyptic like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, it just didn't look like a post-apocalyptic game, like, until you start seeing the broken down buildings and abandoned civilization and just like high grass everywhere, and it kind of starts to create this beautiful yet empty world, and it reminded me of Fallout 3 at times, which is a huge compliment. But that's the thing, is it's the universe, and when I started to dig deep, some of the characters rather that were there that I was interested in were sometimes tucked behind audio logs. I won't get into spoilers.
Yeah, nobody's interesting in Aloy. Or in...
Other than her.
I would agree. Yep.
And that's something the game struggled with, which is why when my friend's like, what did you do with this part? Or like, what did you think of this part? I'm like, what? I can't even remember what he was talking about. And we're human, we forget things, but I sometimes, not always though, like when I'm doing reviews, there are times when I'll forget to but
we're talking about months later.
Notes.
Like, your brain is like, it's not important.
What I was gonna say was like, sometimes it's easy to know how much you care about something just based off how much you remember. And I was just like also playing devil's advocate with myself, because there are times in reviews where I almost forgot something and I checked my notes and was like, that would have sucked to forget. So
I've done that.
Yeah, right. And that's why I can't stand when people are like, oh yeah, I just make my reviews based off what I remember because that's what's important. I'm like,
you definitely have to, even if you're just going by memory, you should definitely look back at your video or something so that you can remember some stuff. Make sure that I'll go through the menu a lot of times. I'll go through the menu and be like, I got to make sure I talk about this and that. But I think with that game, like, I'm all for a series of, like, even if they follow Aloy, I'm cool with that too. I just really like the world and I really like the games.
Yeah, I'm down to see way more than what we already saw. I think it's a good idea to expand on the series. It did stupidly well. They're releasing a PC version of the original Horizon Zero Dawn, so that'll probably build up interest. I imagine Sony's plan is to drop that around the timing of the announcement of this sequel so that more people will leap in. I'm reading in this article there's a Horizon comic book series set after the events of the first game that'll be released in the summer, and that could possibly link into the sequel. So quietly they are building on this brand new franchise. A sequel was inevitable. I think we all knew right when we saw the numbers that they were going to do something with it, especially because the co-founder Herman Holst is now like heading up the Sony Entertainment. So I wouldn't be shocked if he had a little sway on that. It was like, we got to do this. We got to get this out.
Well, I wouldn't be. I agree with that, but I also think it's completely possible that when he even maybe was interviewing for the job or whatever. They were like, what are our plans for the future? And if they're like, one of our major plans is to have one of our major titles get a series of, a trilogy. Do we want to look at movies? Because it is Sony.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them, that him being that actually helping him get the job too. Like there's nothing wrong with that too. You've got, if you're carrying that kind of weight into something.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think of a standalone co-op game? I imagine that would be something along the lines of, like we kind of speculated, like a Monster Hunter. You're like in maybe a hub area with some friends or a friend, and you collect missions and you go out into this like open area and you hunt down a variety of mechanical beasts, if you will. Does that sound like where we'd be heading?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know about you. I always have an issue with these side things, just the same way I have an issue with like betas and a bunch of people getting into them if they buy them early, because there's an unevenness to where everybody is. I
Gotcha.
It's a little interesting to me to see like the idea that it would roll forward, because that seemed to be a specific thing, is that it could like roll it's like, so does that mean you would definitely want to do that? Does that mean if one person did some stuff or rolled forward, then the other person meeting them for co-op would be at a disadvantage? So I don't know. I would have to see it first to know exactly what their plan was.
If things are going to carry over, it's got to hint at some type of progression from one game to the other, probably in the gameplay. What's also interesting is, and this could just be me looking a little too deep, but the wording is that Horizon Zero Dawn has a possible co-op mode. So that could be entirely separate from whatever the main game is. Could be just a main story about Aloy again, and then this co-op mode. Maybe I mean, this might sound crazy. I couldn't imagine it. Maybe you create your own character. It's almost like a Monster Hunter thing, sort of like Final Fantasy 15. What the hell was it called? They had this DLC that you would make your own character, and it's literally Monster Hunter, and so it was pretty solid.
This would never happen, but I would kill to see a game do this. Let's say you play the single player, and let's say it's Aloy, just for the ease of the discussion. You get Aloy to a certain point. She's got a little fort with some people working in it, and then the multiplayer or the co-op is one of those people, and you can, if you're single player, if you upgrade your camp, you can see it in the multiplayer as the leader, her upgrading the camp. And then you jump into the multiplayer as like a hunter, and your job is just to, go hunt these dinosaurs for the camp. You go, you do it, you come back, then you go into your single player game, and Aloy now has more stuff in her thing because your people went out. Like, even though it forced two characters, I actually think that would be cool, because if you get a single, for example, Spider-Man's got what, 28 suits? How many suits?
Yeah, it's got at least
a lot,
almost 30. Yeah.
But in those suits, none of them are playing as Superman. And what I mean by that is a distinctly different class. So let's say your single player game is this character, whatever form she comes in, then you go into the multiplayer or co-op, and there's like something else that she can't be.
Like Melee.
I think, I think that'd be cool. It probably won't happen. It'll probably be something far less ambitious, but the big problem I have is when the multiplayer mode is separated from the single player mode and there is no connection, because then I'm like, well, why am I, you get that thing where why do I care? Or you get your friends saying, I'm just going to play multiplayer. And you're like, fuck, because I want to play both or whatever. And you're just like, you feel like you're always behind. I would like to see a company try to merge those.
I would like that too. I imagine that would be the goal, right? To have something that connects
at some point. Yeah.
Especially if you got a possible standalone co-op game rolling into the sequel. I imagine that co-op mode could become popular if it's in the sequel. And there's got to be a connection if that's the actual plan that's in place. So we shall see. Any more to say on Horizon?
No, I'm excited for it though.
As am I. We shall see probably in the coming months as both companies unveil their console plans. All right. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Xbox Series X, which we're apparently learning about quite soon. This information comes from GameInformer.com. On Twitter today, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, said that we'll learn about the games soon. Whether he's referencing first party, third party, or both remains to be seen. Quote, reviewed plans yesterday for continued sharing through launch, end quote, Spencer wrote. Team is doing great work and adapting. I've never been more excited about Xbox plans. We've heard you. You want transparency, authenticity. We plan to keep showing that way. Next step is not too much of a wait, and he puts in parentheses, games. They said we don't know anything in the terms of the timing for these reveals, but with E3 2020 no longer happening in June, a show Microsoft likely would have used to usher in more Series X details, there's a chance a digital showcase could occur around the same time. So when do you think we're seeing this? What excites you about the future of Xbox? More importantly and more accurately, I think we could talk about. But how do you feel about Philly Boy's words here?
Philly boy. The rumor I saw on Reddit, I think, or maybe it was on Resetera or NeoGaf, I go to all those places, was early part of May. And if that turns out to be true, I don't know what they'll show, just because that is a pretty distinctly, it is a good deal away from their launch.
Right.
There is also the rumor, of course, of the Xbox Lockhart being shown, which is the middle ground Xbox to get people in cheaper. Whether that's shown or not, I don't know. But I would assume that Microsoft, by their term, this is just me, in that announcement, in a completely different part of the announcement, he says the term "we are adapting." My personal opinion is that means Halo is delayed. And that what he means by that is that the teams and everybody are adapting to the changes. That could be me reading too much into it, but it just goes along with some of the stuff that I keep hearing about that. So I don't know. I feel like that's really possible for them to show this other stuff and then be like, and Halo will be ready when it's ready. Yeah. And that's it.
I think they know they can't mess up Halo again after Master Chief Collection and how it had launched initially. Yeah, I thought when I first read it, adapting spoke to me more as an acknowledgement that they were considered behind last generation, and now they are adapting, and they seem to be more on their game. I'm glad they acknowledge that they are aware of the more authentic, transparent approach that they've kind of been keying into with the start of this coming generation. If they can keep that up, I think a lot of people will just be fans of them for that, because we saw how PlayStation handled like Sean Layden's departure, and it was just very eerie and odd. But yeah. I'm very, very excited. And I say this as someone who plays predominantly on PS4, so no one take this the wrong way, but I am more excited currently for Xbox's reveal than PlayStation's. Not because Xbox is talking more, but just when it comes to their games and who they own, they have three big games that absolutely have my attention in, of course, Halo, which you just brought up, Obsidian, whatever they want to show off, and I'm not talking about Grounded, but obviously their next huge AAA game, which I've heard some pretty interesting things on. And then, of course, Fable 4, which is leaked time in, time out, and it's just, they got to get that game announced at this point, because I can tell there's a hunger for Fable more than any game I've seen in a while, just because, and not in like a way like, oh, it's going to sell gangbusters, but it's just like one of those games where if I make a video talking about it, if something relevant's happening around Fable 4, it gains traction so quickly because people just want to talk about Fable because they want another Fable. So that's one that I personally, out of anything Xbox could show off, am just crossing my fingers that it truly is there. That would be good. I've also, as you said earlier, I've heard early May. So it's not too far off now. I wouldn't be surprised if, well, let's see here. By the time this goes live, it'll be Sunday for everyone. I wouldn't be surprised then during that current week if they got an announcement that Xbox was doing something. It could be pushed back, though, until the following week when it's actually May. But then there's...
Yeah, it just bothers me because I keep hearing it was... I'm pretty sure it was Resetera, but there was like people are saying that it was May, and all this stuff. And it's like, if they're... I'm just wondering why we haven't heard anything.
It's got to be because of the... anything could fall through, right? It's got to be that. It's not like a physical
guess
thing.
so.
Teams
Yeah.
there, people are there.
Technology,
It has to
who
happen,
knows,
right? Yeah, but when it's all happening through technology, how are they showing it off? You know, is it like one person going into Playground Studios and saying like, "Hey guys, here's our game," and then they just roll into the gameplay? This actually may be a blessing in disguise when it comes to how E3 sometimes is, where you have a lot of like business talk on stage and yeah, exactly. And people just sometimes want to see the games. They may have no choice but to say, okay, we got to show them the game, right? Give them good long looks at the game. Xbox has been pretty indie friendly, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a lot of indie trailers just kind of quickly rolling by. I think it's going to be one of those things. I mean, you know, when you look at Nintendo, I don't want to say perfected, but they have a pretty dominant digital platform. I think Microsoft may be constructing their own to follow suit because it just seems feasible for the foreseeable future that this is something that they would need. And I think obviously PlayStation, before all of this happened, was trying that with State of Play, but that's so largely inconsistent, not in quality, but in their release schedule and the quality, rather, of things they talk about. That remains to be seen on that. But I just wonder when Xbox will show up to talk about this and how they will deliver it. And that's probably why it's been quiet, because they easily had people already like boots on ground in LA when this outbreak began, and they were probably like, oh boy, now we got to pull everyone out, come home, restructure, replan without rushing. You can't mess up again the beginning of the generation. But then realize, like, do we even want to release this year? And they had to wait and see with the news like everyone else. And so I think that's also why there's just been silence on their end, and Sony's especially.
Yeah, I mean, like this will be the one time the 1 year where I won't even, on some stuff, I won't even try to guess because it's so broken. Everything's broken. Yeah. Like it's really hard. Now it'll be a surprise for everybody.
Kind of fun.
it is like certain companies, you know, there'll be people in the Discord or whatever who, you know, I vet them and make sure that they really do work for a company or whatever. And they'll tell me a story about like, a story that won't get anybody in trouble, but they'll tell me a story about like a 360 game. And they'll be like, dude, we were ready to announce like December 1st or whatever. And this thing happened, and we announced, you know, June 8th. And you're just like, wait, what? That's months and months and months and months and months. And they're like, yeah, you know what happened? We sat on it because of this and that. And we moved things around. We did this, we did, you know, and you're just like, damn, you know, how long something. Now, this is new console. So obviously hardware can't be made years and years in advance, but it's just interesting to see, even in good times, things can really get fucked up. So I think now it's going to be even more. It's going to be even more interesting. I'm excited for. You were saying you're excited for Xbox because of Fable and stuff. I am, but I don't know why. I'm such a fucking Forza. I just want to see a new Forza Horizon.
I mean,
like,
you're gonna
see one. Wait for Fable. I can't wait for Fable, but like it's so stupid. My love for Forza Horizon is so stupidly high now. Like just as a type of title, it's what I always dreamed of as a kid, and to finally get to play it is weird. What do you think? So okay, sorry. So people are wondering, this is not crank. I have a tooth that hurts, so I'm putting gel on it. I just want to make sure nobody thinks I'm fucking putting crank on my teeth. What when it comes to the other games? So you got Hellblade 2. You know, you've got their other stuff. Is there any other IPs besides those big ones that you're like, man, I wish Microsoft, admittedly, I know you don't follow them as close, but is there something that, you know, even a game that maybe they worked on, you know, years ago? Because, for example, I bring this up because not out of the blue, but sort of out of the blue, Panzer Dragoon Saga is now being mentioned because Panzer Dragon got its remake on the Switch. And I'm looking back at old stuff, and Microsoft has, people don't realize, if you go look at Microsoft's wiki page and look at the IPs that they own, it's ridiculous. Yeah. They own so many. Is there any you can think of?
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because there's so many especially during like the original Xbox with the Duke controller, that's when there was a lot of just IP variety, and I don't know if they were like, Xbox owns this or that, but I just know there were a lot of games that I loved that were exclusive to Xbox, and two that immediately came to mind. One was Blinks the Time Sweeper. I can't say I was like,
yeah.
I think it was just I was a kid, but that one, it would be just really interesting to see if they came back with that, because that was during like the third person platforming mascot days. I couldn't imagine that. But the second one, and apparently Ubisoft made this game, so I'm sure there's some complication with the license, and I've mentioned it before, so I won't go on too much about it, but I'm just very convinced like nowadays that Death Row would be one of the most successful games. I just think it's brutish nature, it's kind of mixture of sports and a fighting game. It's accessible yet fun and has some level of depth. There's great music. I really think it would do well, and I would love this. And that was exclusive to the Xbox, wasn't on anything else. I would love to see that game come back. If Microsoft did that, I would scream. But I know that's probably a pipe dream.
Dude,
I'm trying to think of Xbox.
Phantasy Star Online 2 is coming out. So if anything's a pipe dream, that was.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, you're right. I look at Death Row, and that might be one of the more, that might be one of the more niche things I've liked. I know anyone I talk to who's played it's like, yeah, that game was awesome, but I don't think many people played it. It's hard to think of other Xbox games that, because I like what they do with their IP, like going from Halo to Halo Wars, Gears Tactics.
True.
I like when they take their existing ones and modify. Yeah.
Forza Horizon.
Yeah, exactly. Horizon clicked with me more than the original Forza series. That's perfect. So I like when they do that stuff a lot more, and we're seeing it in a different light with like a studio just going the complete other way, where you're going from Forza Horizon to now Fable 4, which is really cool. Normally I wouldn't be on board with the idea, but for me the bigger impact with Horizon, the game we were talking about earlier, was that it was less of the game and more so that the team who made Killzone, a shooter franchise that I wasn't that infatuated with, made a very interesting open world that I enjoyed being in with a really good combat system. And so for me, now that idea of developers saying like, let's do this, like we made racing games and now we're going to make a freaking RPG. Like, I think that's exciting. So I just like Xbox's ability to experiment with stuff they already have under their belt. I'm trying to think of anything else that they have. I would also, what would be really cool, but no doubt, or no shot it happens rather, is if Scalebound came back. That'd just be very interesting. I think there were rumors at one point that it's coming back, but then I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Yeah, Phil Spencer kiboshed it on last week's meeting. Yeah, unfortunately. I'm looking at their list, just so you know, of IPs. They also own, they do own Blinks, by the way. I didn't know that. I thought Blinks was somebody else.
Cool.
For some reason, I thought that was like a different company. Blue Dragon was another awesome RPG. I remember them playing.
I think that was on Rare Replay, wasn't it?
Yeah. Crimson Skies, which was a fantastic airplane adventure game. I don't even know how to describe that game. You would get out of your airplane and take over other people's. Like, it was it was insanity. Sunset Overdrive, this says they own the IP, which I think this is old, because I'm pretty sure Insomniac bought that IP. I'm almost 100% sure they said they bought it. Teo Fang, Son of Rome. They own some, but there's no Lost Odyssey. I admittedly liked Lost Odyssey, but I don't know how you do a fucking how do you do a sequel to that where it's a guy who couldn't die anyway? Well, I mean, true. I guess that's how you do it. I love Lost Odyssey. That shit was ahead of its time.
Oh yeah. You mentioned go down the list one more time. It's escaping my mind. It was towards the end. Son of Rome. Sorry, there we go.
Yeah,
I would love to see them go back to Rise. I really would.
So would I.
I was one of like 10 people, I feel, who enjoyed that game. It was like popcorn fun, but it was fun. And if they took away the QTEs and refined that game a little bit more, because I liked the story in that game, man. Like, I remember I played that game twice when it came out, and part of it was new console hype, but I enjoyed it. Like it stuck with me, and
I liked Marius. I liked the character, everything.
Yeah, it was a I don't want to say good game, but it was like solid. It was enjoyable. I would love to see them go back and try it again because everyone hated the QTEs with that game, and I completely understand that. And I just wonder what the game would have done if it didn't have all those. You know, it would have just been a mindless hack and slash where people wanted the QTEs.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Would it have just looked dumb? Because they made it look cinematic, right? Those QTEs are why it looked so fucking epic. So removing those, by the way, on the PC, you can remove them. Somebody made a mod that deletes they deleted the color completely. So it's just a normal but it's hard to hit because you can't just hit them normally. So it's like, you know, but I don't know. I personally, I would love to see them return to that. I love that world. I thought it was really interesting.
That'd be great. All right. Anything else on the Xbox?
Not that I can think of.
Wow. I think, what is that? 3 for 3? Karak hasn't stopped us at the end of a segment.
I know. Wow. I'm trying.
No, you can always stop us. Next on the list, though, is WWE 2K21 is not happening. Normally, we do not talk about this franchise on this show because it's just an annualized franchise, but we thought given the developments of 2K20, this would be interesting. So once again, we're reading from Game Informer. During an investor call yesterday, the WWE confirmed that this year's installment of the 2K Games WWE 2K franchise is not happening. Taking a year off might be a good thing. WWE 2K20 had various technical issues that left many fans disappointed. This also came after 2K Games split with the longtime developer Yuki. I think Yuki is his name.
Something like that.
Ukes, I think. Sorry. Handing the series entirely over to Visual Concepts. Not one factor alone, is likely to be the sole reason for pressing pause, but the extra time should give 2K Games the opportunity to assess its priorities with the franchise. However, the absence of the WWE 2K name doesn't necessarily mean wrestling fans won't be getting any new games at all. A tweet from the WWE 2K account promises more details, and exciting news next week on Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific time.
So, like a XFL or what? Not an XFL, but one of the other side.
I wonder.
Side wrestling, maybe?
My guess would be number one. I think it's smart that they're hitting the pause button on the series, but I wonder when it comes to new games, it's got to be WWE. What would it be like if they took? Because they've been doing these for years. What if they took some of the really older ones, like No Mercy? I think like SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, and they just took some of these older standalone wrestling games that they have published and just released them all, either on like one disc or in a package digitally or separately. I feel like that's what they're going to do, right? When you put a series on pause, that's a plan, and you got to have something to make up the clear hole in your pocket. And what better way to do it than re-releasing old wrestling games? Because it's not like AEW, which is the wrestling franchise I watch every week, everyone wants them to make a game, which I imagine they'll eventually do. They even talk about it all the time. They're like, we got an announcement coming. No, it's not the video game. And so I imagine that's years and years down the line. But it's not like they can just tap in on their competitor, right? Like they got to make their own WWE game. So I just very much wonder how they're going to do that. And so I think it's obvious they got to go back. Because if they're making something new, then they just make they make 2K21. But they're not, so it's got to be old, as far as I'm concerned. That's just my speculation.
No, that makes sense. I mean, if they're not going to do anything new, they're not going to have enough to make a whole new game. So, there's really not much else there that they could do. I just don't know. I mean, maybe they could, like, I don't know, wrestling replay or something. It's like, super cheap for a bunch of the games.
Yeah, because they all tried to do, at least from what I played,
slightly different things.
Yeah, they tried to do something new. The last one that really stuck with me was WWE 13. That one, it had CM Punk on the cover for those who play yearly, and I don't know what it was. I think the gameplay just felt way better than. And I think most people were like, oh, they liked 14 a lot. I think that was the one. But I loved 13. And I just remember for a week, that's all I played. Like for 7 hours a day with my friends. Like, it was just constant WWE. Like, we were putting together these wild matches and doing all manners of fun things. I would like to see them bring back some of the older WWE games. That'd be pretty fun for me. I would be a fan of that in replacement of the new stuff. And we won't have to wait long to find out. Monday, so on the day after the show goes live in the morning, everyone will know what they're planning, and that should be fun. But when was the last WWE game you had played?
Probably only one from maybe at most 2 or 3 years ago.
Wow.
Because I do occasionally revisit them. Because I do with a lot of UFC ones, and sometimes I'll like want to see the difference between fighting versus like wrestling. But and I mean, yeah, they are certainly, there's a pattern to them. They're like the same flapjacks every year. It is. Like, it's weird because
than a sports game.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's got packs, everyone's got a career mode, everyone's got, and which I get, because if you like something in an RPG, you're gonna say, "Man, I wish that was in this other RPG." But because of the same company, there's something about it. The same thing Ubisoft deals with, same thing Activision at times have dealt with, is that there's that palette that starts to be created, and they all feel like a mod of each other because their front ends feel so alike, which is weird. I like them to fuck around with. I don't like them as games. In fact, I think they're fairly terrible, dude. Like, even the good ones that got, like, IGN will be like 10 out of 10, best fucking wrestler. First of all, you're a fucking liar. Second, you'll get guys where, no lie, they're like, they got their arms out and they'll be like, their fucking collision detection is shit.
Yeah.
But they're still fun because of the pomp and circumstance of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, how much can you insert yourself into that? Like, how much can you create? Yep. And yeah, so I think it's a good way of putting it. They're fun games, but it's not like ones that I love and I look forward to every year. Like, if I ever heard there was a really good wrestling game, I'd probably hop right on it because I love wrestling. Yeah. But for the time being, that's not the case. Hopefully they do re-release some of those older ones. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Switch ports in there. That seems more likely than anything. But we shall see. Just a quick little update, because it's pretty significant that they're not releasing an entry in what is an annualized franchise. I mean, Assassin's created this, and I'm very surprised that with WWE's current state, like, a lot of people are just trying to count down the days till they're done, but I think it's just that it's not the best handled brand at the moment. It's not like they're dying. I'm surprised that they decided to take the route of saying, like, hit the pause button on the game. But yeah, it's no coincidence that once they left their old developers behind, that the franchise went to shit. All right, Karak, will you go 4 for 4? Is there anything else for WWE that you'd like to talk about?
No, definitely not on WWE.
All right, 4 for 4, and we move on over to the Game Pass. This was your suggestion. You wanted to talk about some of the value as Red Dead Redemption 2 has been added to Xbox Game Pass. Karak, thoughts?
It's just stupid. I think we're getting caught up or I do, in just saying how dumb the value is. But I mean, it's an older game, but it's not old enough that a lot of my friends who have big backlogs haven't bought it. And it's just to see that and of course, people should remember this is Xbox only right now, because PC as a launcher. And so it's not on the PC Game Pass right now. But for people who own, like, the Xbox or whatever, I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just like, see another company go on there. And then I was looking, they also on Xbox, there was another game that they did free. It was huge. And I can't remember. I don't want to look it up in the middle of the discussion, but it's just cool, man. I mean, I think right now the big thing is, what can you get for free? I always tell people, I'm like, you may hate Epic, make a fucking fake account, download the free games anyway. Because Jesus, dude, we're living in a world where, like, you might as well not spend your money on some of this stuff. If these companies are get free.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that if we didn't do this for a line of work, and I was just, I worked my 9 to 5, but I gamed on the side, 110%, I would not buy anything at launch. I would not buy a single game at launch and just subscribe to Game Pass, because last year would have solidified it in June, when 4 months after Devil May Cry and Metro came out. That was the moment I was like, oh my God, they're both on Game Pass 4 months later. That's insane. And yeah, big games like Red Dead, it
Outer
is definitely
Worlds day one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, dude. It's just, obviously the money accumulates over time, but if you're spending $10 a month, 120 a year, how many games are you buying a year? Does that add up? Or if you're only buying a couple of games a year, you could probably afford to just pay that $10 a month consistently and save your money. Because maybe those purchases are a little more sporadic. Like I imagine for most, Red Dead was that
big purchase.
Yeah, right. Like that was one of those big purchases. It's a Rockstar game, which is why I found it interesting that so many people were like, "Woo, it's happening!" I'm just like, well, it sold like 25 plus million copies.
That's because I think a lot of people. I think if you took genres and you and I sat down with everybody we knew, Western would be the lowest.
Yeah.
So I think even though it sold a shit ton, I think that there still are some people who are like, of all the, I'd rather be 1970s noir and LA noir, or I'd rather be a kid bully and bully or GTA. I'm not really a fan of Westerns at all. And so now to them, that's a big deal. Because I do hear what you hear where people already have it. You're like, well, you already got it. But I also do feel that there's a lot of contingent, because every time I bring it up, I hear a lot of people who tell me they don't like Westerns. And I'm like, dude, have you not played Gun? It's one of the best fucking games ever. Like, Gun is amazing. What was the other one? The series. There was a Western series.
Call of Juarez.
Oh, my. Call of Juarez, yeah, which admittedly not superstar, but still Western fun. Some people just aren't into Westerns, though. It's too gritty. It's not in a fantasy world, but it's not post-apocalyptic. It's just there.
Yeah.
And so to them, it's cool. It's just it.
Oh yeah, I don't want.
It's just one more thing.
Yeah, I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I'm complaining about.
Yeah,
it
no.
I guess I just imagine that a lot of people. This was that big purchase, whether you're like casual, hardcore, wherever you lie. I feel like a lot of people already own this, but it doesn't take away from the fact that that's insane increase in value now, where if you could, let's say you bought it physically, you could sell that now, sign up for Game Pass, now you have a little extra money in your wallet and you have not lost access to your game, which is always good. But yeah, Game Pass gets better and better. This is a great addition to have right before, I imagine, with we didn't even talk about this during the Xbox segment, but they always, whenever they show off new games, we always forget that they're going to add more to the Game Pass. They always announce like things coming to Game Pass, whether it's day one Game Pass or new additions now, like I just talked about when I said Metro and Devil May Cry got added. That was during E3 that was announced. So yeah, these are interesting times for Xbox, and if they continue to pound in that value, you could very well buy the console without a single game, subscribe to Game Pass, and when I say the console, I mean next gen. Subscribe to Game Pass, and you could have a library of hundreds of titles without even have to worry about anything new coming out. And that's awesome. That's an easy way to get people in. So really smart business management. Okay, we've got patron questions. And I think there are a lot of them. So let's dive right into it once I open Discord on my phone. I think I have it open here. I do. There it is. All right. Where's my server? There it is. Okay, now we're good to go. So, Karak, the first question is, I'm trying to delay until we friggin' find it. We got so many. Okay. Holzer19 says, it's no secret that the melee combat and magic systems in Skyrim aren't exactly inspired, and I was wondering, what games would you like to see Bethesda draw inspiration from to improve the combat in Elder Scrolls 6? Melee and magic
Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, for sure.
Oh, that's one I have not laid my hands on.
You haven't? Oh, really? Because it is Skyrim with actual good, better than Dishonored up close.
Oh.
Like kicking people off fucking ledges, like the old, the fucking Sparta. So that would be Xbox, possibly even Xbox. I think Xbox 360, but we're talking early Xbox 360.
Okay.
And it's up close was very good.
I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
What about Dishonored? I mean, Dishonored, not every spell,
Yeah.
but there's some spells that overlap in Dishonored. I think some of the way it feels could match up.
This may not sound like the most logical one, but I hope people hear me out when I say Jedi Fallen Order. Just because of the way like swords come together, just like in the game lightsabers come together. I think that clashing creates like an epic feeling. If they can get a real sense of impact, that's the thing, is that the collision detection in Bethesda Game Studios game may be some of the worst ever in our industry. Like, weapons clipping through people. Like if you're like standing up against them, like in Skyrim VR, you'll know this. Like if you stick out your weapon and just wave it across their head, it clips. It doesn't like count as an attack. It's extremely weird. And I would just love for them to focus on collision detection. And what better game to look at than a Star Wars game where collisions, the clashes, that's what it's all about, man. Like that's what creates that epic sense where both lightsabers come together, you lean into each other. Just like Obi-Wan and Anakin, that type of stuff. But also the Force could, you look at your Fusro Da, your dragon shouts. Some of them involve like knocking people back or speeding up combat. Maybe the Force and that can connect. I know it sounds like a really strange pick, and I'm absolutely reaching here, but I think that's something when it comes to the melee side of things that Elder Scrolls 6 should certainly look at. Because when you look at every single ES game that's dropped, they always do something significant, even if you don't like them. I think you could admit they do something extremely significant that furthers the industry. And it'd be really neat to see Bethesda do that alongside having like very respectable, fun gameplay for once. Not that it's not fun to play Skyrim. More of the power fantasy in Skyrim is fun, I think. But like they just don't feel good to play. And even with mods, in my opinion. And so I would love to see them take a look at maybe Star Wars. All right. Next question from Cover Paint. What was/is your favorite arcade game? The one that you guys spent the most coins on?
Dragon Slayer.
Galaga.
Sure. Galaga. Jeez, that's old school.
Yeah, there was this is going to actually sound pretty old school as well. There was a pizza parlor that I went to after my baseball games, and I would just get a bunch of quarters and I'd kill some time there. And it was really nice. I always wanted it at home, but once they made it available digitally, it's just like not interested anymore.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Not as good as when you're a kid. Just Lee Martin asks us, what PlayStation 1 classic or N64 classic would you have brought back? Remake, reboot, or whatever?
N64 or PlayStation?
Yeah, original, like PlayStation 1.
I didn't have that until way after. It was because I had a Saturn. Because I haven't loved the way Soul Calibers have gone. Toshinden, I would like to see.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a really good pick. Yeah, those were.
Because I haven't been in love with the last one or two Soul Calibers.
Yeah, same. I haven't played one as much as I played 2 and 4. It just, I mean, two on GameCube was different. You had Link, but it had like a really cool single player mode for its time. And then 4 just, oh my god, that was like as far as I'm concerned, I know some people will disagree, but I thought that was like the peak. Like it was just at the top of its game there.
4 was, who were the special
Star
guys?
Wars, so it was Yoda and Darth Vader.
Yeah, I believe 4 was also 3. Yeah, 4 was also my favorite. I believe it had the best of the character creators as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that one had great character creation. It had a lot of single player modes. That was a game I played a ton of. That and Tekken 6. I love those games for their like being a good fighter, but also having significant improvements in the single player that felt varied. For me, I would choose a remake of Jet Force Gemini. I really, really liked that game. When I played it on Rare Replay, I like reorganized the controls. Such a good game, man. I thought that was one I missed as a kid and came back to, and it's one that I think would be fun nowadays. A nice third-person shooter, very sci-fi driven almost. It's been so long since I picked it back up, but I would really like to see that one get remade. All right. As my dog gets scolded, or at least that's what I think I hear right now. Natural Calamity has a group of questions. Let's start off with number 1. I just bought a Switch for Animal Crossing, and what other games should I work towards getting? Or what games would act as a good companion piece to Animal Crossing? I just a nice companion. I'm surprised. I had one answer on my head, but I thought it was gonna fly out of your mouth.
What? Well, I don't want them the normal ones like Rabbids.
Oh no, I know. I thought you were gonna say like Ultimate Alliance 3. Like I thought that was gonna be the.
Oh no, that's definitely a good one. I think it threw me off when he said a companion piece to Animal Crossing. First of all, because I haven't played Animal Crossing, but second, because I'm trying to think if there is one.
There's if you're looking for like this companion, would you say that means like another game like Animal Crossing? Yeah.
That's sort of how I took it. Yeah.
All right, then there is Rune Factory 4, which came out about a month and a half ago. I think at the end of February. That is apparently really good on the DS, and this is the special edition which got ported to the Switch. I had my eyes on it originally, but then my girlfriend was like, "You got to get Animal Crossing," and so I did. But that is one that you should look into. I've heard great things about that. There is also, of course, Stardew Valley, but I feel like everyone and their mother has heard of that game. Dragon Quest Builders 2, I adore. I like it far more than Animal Crossing, which, I'm not a certified Animal Crossing fan, so can't really, you can run with that as much as you want. There's also Harvest Moon, but I think the one on the Switch apparently isn't that good. So there are a lot of fantasy sim games that you can pick up on your Switch right now. If you're looking for outside of that type of stuff, I think I would say Ultimate Alliance 3 is like just a good beat 'em up. Kind of just nothing that you get mentally invested in. You're just going through the levels, playing as your favorite Marvel superheroes and upgrading them. It doesn't require a lot of investment. You can pick it up and play it whenever you want.
Yeah, and for me, it'd be like a Baldur's Gate or something because, it's a huge RPG.
Yeah, and that is on Switch now. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but without knowing exactly, what are the games that person likes, it's hard to know. But I mean, the Switch, that's one nice thing. Switch has got a lot now. It's definitely worth it now.
Question 2 from Natural Calamity. Since high school, I have loved D&D and the type of imagination and fun it brings, but was never really a social person. So my question is, what ways can I get into the D&D side of things? This is all you, man, because I haven't played in about 3 years, really, actually.
Dude, really? That feels so weird because we used to talk about it. It feels weird to have been around that long.
Yeah.
It's been that long. Did you guys just fall apart? Somebody moved, didn't they?
Yes, our DM moved, and then when we had a new DM, it was fun. It was really fun. Just like there wasn't as much dedication because obviously DMing takes a lot of time. And they didn't have it, so we just kind of. I couldn't do it. I would have loved to do it, but I don't have the time for it. So it's one of those things where it just fell apart as much as we wanted to keep playing, and obviously now we can't play.
Yeah. So he wanted to know how to get into D&D.
He says, my question is, what ways can I get into the D&D side of things? Because he said he was never really a social person.
So, yeah, D&D is for sure the most antisocial thing you can do. That's because it's theater. I think that's the one problem he might deal with. I would say look at what is it called? Not meeting.com. It's not that. It's It's a website where you can put together groups of like-minded people.
I wouldn't know. I've never heard of that.
So
good that it exists.
It's a huge website, and I'm sorry, you shouldn't have like mygroup.com or something. You shouldn't have a difficulty finding it, but basically you can go there and say you like to play D&D where you are, and literally groups who play can actually say, hey, do you want to come hang out and do board games or whatever, or you can jump into theirs.
Cool.
And in a small town my friend lives in, there was like 9, and we're talking a very small town. In like where I live, there's like 19 pages. It's a huge deal. I would say also start checking role-playing Discords. That's huge now.
Yeah.
Most people, I think, are just using Discord. And I mean, Mine's paid, so I would never tell you to do that. As in, my Discord is paid. We do a D&D game, but I would say find somebody. Oh no, I know Grimblade. Talk to Grimblade in Maddie's Discord, because Grimblade's got a game going, and somebody else has a game. Now that I think about it, not only Grimblade, somebody else said that they had a game going or was planning on a game. So I would say use Discord for your games and see if you can put together a webcam, because man, you got to see the other person too. I've seen like ones where it's just like the digital screen, and I'm all, dude, that doesn't work for me. Not for D&D. I need to see a person's face. And yeah,
I agree. All right, Ben Jam's got 3 questions. From a pure aesthetic standpoint, what is your favorite looking console and handheld system? For me, it's the original PS3 Slim, and for handheld, it's the Game Boy Advance SP, with the Vita being a runner-up. Favorite console to look at? I'm going to go with I think my favorite console would probably be I'm going to take your answer on the PS3 Slim, because I'm looking at mine, and just something about that just little PS3 on the right. It's rounded. It's just a great looking console. I really like how it looks. The later model. For handheld, Game Boy Advance SP. Just the sapphire blue one. Just, oh God, so nice. I love that thing, man. It's just a delicate little piece of technology. All your games right in your pocket. Can't complain.
I like how you suddenly turned Italian. Right in your
pocket.
I've
just been doing that a lot, yeah. I've just been doing that a lot. Yeah,
throwing the old accent, rubbing it on there.
Yeah. Just because, like, I just kind of talk like this sometimes, and I'm like, what if I just spice it up a little bit?
Man, I mean, I don't look at I don't even look at the console. Like, I don't care what they look like. I don't even think about that. I guess probably no. You know what? Just for I don't like it, actually. I was gonna say the GameCube, just because it's Cube that plays games. It was brilliant.
Forget about that. Yeah, that shit was good looking. It's just a handle.
Right. It was like they actually put it, like Nintendo was thinking of the Switch when they made the fucking GameCube, man. They were like, portable. It is wild. It admittedly, as much as I dislike a lot of their stuff, that the idea that they had a handle on there is pretty fucking insane mentally when you think about it. So for pure audacity, I think the GameCube, but for looks, anything, I like them when they're just black pieces of box, because I hide mine. So, you know, like the 360 I sort of dug with the ring. I actually thought that looked pretty cool. I guess I'll have to go with that.
Yeah. I'm with you on, like, when it comes to controls and consoles, I don't look at them.
Think about it.
Yeah, I just eventually I'm looking at the screen, right? But when it comes to, like, when I'm looking to my left here and everything's on the top of my dresser, you know, the PS3's always stood out to me. It's never the PS4, because they have that matte part that looks good, and they've got this slick part that's just fucking cut up just from like putting
the fingerprint attractor.
No, I don't even touch it. That's the thing. It's just cut up. Like, I'll put my controller on it, and, like, I guess from years of that, it just looks like I took a razor blade to it and just, like, and just worked around the whole thing. Question 2 from Ben Jam. What is the funniest / most clever screen name or username you've seen online or in a video game?
MILF on all fours Princess, which was a username of a client who was a teacher at my old job. And she had to get her password from me, and she was so embarrassed. It took her like 3 calls to finally admit what her username was, because she didn't want to admit it. The dirty usernames from teachers would blow your mind, by the way, because that's all I dealt with was teachers. We're talking 150,000 teachers, and the number of BJ jokes, anal jokes, fucking ramming jokes are through the roof. It was every day. And Cadiz, who's on my Discord, he taught, because he still works at one place. You just read it going, what? And they're like, yeah, I fucking forgot my password. I need to log in. Okay, on all fours MILF Princess. And you're just like, what the fuck? And sometimes like a 70-year-old lady, and you're all, did your student make this? No, I made it. Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. Let's reset that
I
password.
definitely can't compete with that. The one that's always stuck with me for most of my life, and I don't know why. It sounds so ridiculous when I say it, but I think I've told this story recently. I was playing Call of Duty on a PS2 when I was a kid. Like, my brother just got internet hooked up to his room, and he was playing, I think, Finest Hour online. And I remember, like, he went to the bathroom, so, I snuck in. I picked up the controller and started playing. And I got killed by someone. Their name was, like corn in my poo. And that was just all it was. It is just...
It's great.
It's stuck with me ever since, man. I've never seen the guy since, but I hope he's doing well or she's doing well. That was one that I don't even know that's creative, but definitely funny. Funny enough where as a kid, I was like, wow,
that shit crack. If I was playing and I saw that shit would crack me up for fucking 2 or 3 days where I'd think about it later and still laugh. I love the crass that surprises you humor where you're just like, wait, they wrote that as a username? Like,
it reminds me of someone. Was I playing Smite or someone's name was like Lil Cum, and just my friends and I were dying over it,
laughing.
It's like, how did they even get through? Like, he fully spelled it out. It wasn't with like a K. Like, I was like, how did this get through, Sony?
Yeah,
that's what's great about some of those names. Number 3 from Ben Jam. Do you still have anything from your childhood that has no monetary value but has too much emotional value to get rid of? For me, it's my Yu-Gi-Oh card collection that I've had since I was 9 and will never throw them away, even though I have no interest in the game anymore. You'd be surprised, my friend. Those cards can be really friggin' expensive.
Yeah.
Like, if you got Dark Magician in there, like the older Dark Magicians, I had like 5 of them. My old card store sold them for like $50 a piece. And, I'm sure you could get roughly around there online. So you might want to look in there. That's some monetary value.
Might not want to throw some. Yeah, might not want to throw some cash away there.
Yeah, those are. I mean, oh god, man, I almost envy you, because for me with my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I just want to go back in time and beat the shit out of my 8th grade self and stop, like, put myself in the hospital to stop myself from doing. Rid of them. I remember my friend, like, he hooked me up with a couple of games. He gave me, I think it was Unreal Tournament 3 on the 360, and he gave me Skate 2. It was like, yeah, you got $10. I was like, yeah, I got $10. And he gave me both those games. And they were like relatively new. So I was like, all right, sweet. And then one day he came in, he was like, you have Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, I recently got back into them and I've been looking for some cards. I was thinking of the favor he did me, and I gave him everything. Everything. Like Buster Blade. I gave him the like the Beta Warrior, the Alpha Warrior, that all, like the Valkyrie Warrior that all formed together. I gave him like Exodia. I gave him probably nowadays like over $1,000 in freaking cards, and I wonder if he even has them still. I could. Oh man, I wish I could time travel. That would be the first thing I stop. Fuck. Do you have anything that you're still holding on to?
I don't actually. When I moved, I tossed pretty much everything, and then once a year I try to go through and toss and donate.
Nice.
So I donate as much stuff as humanly possible each year. I mean, I have like I don't, once you and I, like, when you start a YouTube channel or whatever, you're like, suddenly you're just getting technology and, to do your different things. That's sort of almost all I really have is like technology stuff. I don't do toys. But I do have stuff that I just haven't given away yet. But no, I don't really hold. I guess my parents got me some swords, like real swords, like a classic El Cid, and I kept that, and a classic rapier, and I kept that. But
nice.
I won't get rid of those. But they're not worthless. That's the problem. I don't think I have anything that's like not worth something.
Yeah, I'm more of, not that you aren't, I should clarify that, but I'm definitely more of a sentimental guy. So some objects hold just emotional value.
Oh no, you are more than me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I have a memory box, and it's in my closet. It's like
the
a little.
Fuck is a memory box?
It's about this. Well, it's my memory box, I should say, but it's like this tall. For those who don't know, it's probably like a couple inches, 3 inches tall. And you just take things that are memories and you put them in the box. So like my first E3 pass is in there, first PAX, first review copy I got. Stuff like that, like first date with my girlfriend, it actually works pretty well when I open it up and I'm like, oh man, like I remember this. And yeah, the goal is I just open it. I don't even look. I throw something new in there when I feel like, yeah, that was a memory. That was a night I want to remember or something. I throw it in there. I walk away and I don't even think about it. And so when I do open it, it is that feeling. So yeah, I do have that. I haven't looked in a while. I'm sure I still have like all my old Beanie Babies from when I was a kid. Those I used to collect. I don't know if I'd want to part with. But
Talking about, oh, good.
No, I was just saying like plushies and stuff. I would like to, if I give them away, I'd like to give them away to like kids in need for sure. And then I have my action figures still. Those are fire. And the reason I refuse to get rid of those, I'm not a hoarder. I'm sounding like a hoarder compared to Karak. But the reason I refuse to get rid of those is because action figures nowadays suck. They're so bad.
Yeah,
like I've gone to
do.
Walmart, Toys R Us when it was open, Target, and like I just look sometimes out of curiosity. I'm like, man, kids have it bad nowadays. Like, what is this? I looked at some of the, because I used to collect 2003 Ninja Turtles was one of my favorite cartoons of all time. I love it to this day. And I have a lot of the action figures from that time period. And I look at the Ninja Turtle action figures now and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like the quality, they cost more, but they're so much worse. And I'm not even saying like nostalgia bias. Like they're actually like these twigs that could break easily. They look like crap, man. I'm extremely disappointed. And the good stuff is like my, I don't know where it's at my studio space, my Noctis one, like you get that in like a package that will cost you like $300. It's just figure pricing and quality is not very good nowadays as far as I'm concerned. But yes, in answer to your question, I'm a sentimental guy and I have a lot of items with emotional value. But I am capable of parting with them. That's the difference. My dad sometimes struggles with that, so I don't have that part of him in me. All right, next question comes from Crazy Herb. With the rumors recently about Horizon Zero Dawn 2 having co-op, what would you personally like to see from that game? I honestly cannot think about a direction for the sequel, but because the first game resolved all of the world's mysteries, well, we did answer that, so...
Yeah, I would agree with him on that, too. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah. I got to play the DLC, so I...
Frozen Wilds, yeah. You should, dude. It's well worth it.
All right, next question comes from Holzer19 again. So this is probably sacrilege amongst this Discord, and I'm definitely outing myself here. That's okay. But I've never played a JRPG or really any game inspired by them. So what games would be a good entry point for someone like me? Karak, we have to shape this lad into a JRPG lover. How do we do so?
I honestly... Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I personally started or back into JRPGs with one of the cel-shaded Dragon Quest. I think it was 8, because I got out for a while, as in got out casually, because I like the look of that game.
Okay.
I for some reason I like the look, but I don't remember how grindy they are. I think Dragon Quest is really grindy though, isn't it?
Yeah. Dragon Quest is like,
I mean,
old school style JRPG.
Yeah, I mean, I technically consider Persona a JRPG.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
So then I would just say Persona because it's weird enough, but current modern that you would understand now what dungeons were like and all. So I would, Persona is really good.
I would definitely say as well, Persona 5 Royal. It's got, you don't have to grind at all, which is one of like JRPG's kisses of death. It just, you know, people hate grinding, which I get, and I don't think it should be a staple because it's just like an old mechanic to stretch out the gameplay. You don't have to do that. Some people like grinding, but you don't have to in Royal at all. There's just tons of mechanics. It, like Karak said, it's got that like niche, quirky nature where it is a JRPG, does things that only JRPGs do, but it's modernized and even westernized in a number of ways that I think you'll find yourself enjoying that. But just know, I'm going to sound like an elitist, but not every JRPG is Persona 5 Royal. Kind of like a once in a, really from what I'm playing, it's like a once in a generation game. It's just got all its shit together, and it's extremely good. From there, if you like that, there is a number of suggestions that I can make, but try Royal. I think that'll be the game that kind of is that what's the word? The gate, there's a term.
Gateway drug?
Gateway. Thank you. Gateway game to all the other JRPGs. Like everyone's got like For me, my first anime was Attack on Titan, really my first actual anime, I should say. Attack on Titan, and from there, the gates kind of blew open and you just explore. So just go in knowing that Persona 5 Royal is extremely good, that quality will differ across the board as it does with any genre. But yeah, Royal is our pick. Okay. Heretical Shark, are you worried about Halo Infinite being delayed due to the lack of basically anything to do with the game being announced apart from the toy reveals doing most of the marketing for it at this point in time?
No. If it gets delayed, I will not care. I'm not worried about it.
I won't either. I'm very excited for it, but I won't care either because I know they can't screw it up, as we said.
But even if they do, like, I don't know. Why would you get worried about it? It's probably the wrong word. Let's pretend to use a different word. Worried. You know what? I think I've found my trigger word. Worried. Or concern. I'll see people say, I'm concerned about something. Right? I'll be like, what the fuck? Why? And I know he's not doing that. So that's more me. Yeah. It's just a weird, it's so emotionally connected.
I can understand on one hand though worry for like a future like when I'll always remember when I started covering 76 when it first was getting teased and the rumor was like it's an online survival RPG, and I remember like number one, like the hype was up here for everyone, and when that was announced, like there was a significant drop in interest. But I'll also remember, like, that was a worry. I was like, what are they doing with Fallout? And as a fan of the franchise, like, I had a worry. But I get your point, too, where these are products, they're services, they're not something to emotionally put yourself, attach yourself to and feel the worry and the pain of the company, essentially.
Yeah. If it was bad, if we get it and it's bad, I don't see a problem with somebody being worried about that. But it's
worrying in advance.
Pre-worrying about your worry. Like, I worry this will be bad because then I worry that the future may not. Like, what? That's too.
Good point.
Dude, I could be dead. I'll die from a fucking heart attack before. Like, I have no clue what's happening at that point. So I think it's that. And that's not what he was saying. I was just saying when I hear people say that, I worry about it. But what he's saying is, you know, like, is that a thought process in your head that, like, it could possibly be delayed? And if it is, how about this? Let's do it the other way. If it isn't delayed, why, from what I've seen so far, why does anybody care? I like Halo, but Halo 5, right? This will be Halo, yeah. I was okay with, but obviously it wasn't Halo 1. What do we think the new Halo, why are we interested in it? That's sort of, so it's easy to be interested and then not jump into the details.
Right.
Like, I guess what I'm wondering is, like, are you interested? Or, like, are you, Matty, are you interested in, as in, are you waiting and excited? And what are you excited for the new Halo that then you would worry if it didn't hit or if it was delayed? Yeah. What do you think it will offer?
Definitely an open world. That's the thing.
Because of the name, right? I think.
And that's kind of generally. I mean, it's not like a secret, by the way. It's been out there, but that's also just what I've heard. Like, it's going to be open world. I don't know where it's going to be set, but it's going to be drastically different. And I don't know. Maybe it's because you and I are so deeply in the game that, I mean that, like, figuratively speaking, about like YouTube content creation, that drastic changes are exciting for us in some manner of speaking. Like, I don't think a shooter campaign level by level doesn't work, because you look at Doom Eternal, but Doom Eternal has a locomotion to it that no one else can really match right now. Halo isn't about that speed, so how do you do your own first person campaign with this popular franchise? I think going big would probably be a smart choice. So I find that exciting, and if that prospect ends up being true. For me, I have an investment there. I have an investment in the idea just because Halo 1 and 3 are some of my favorite games ever. Phenomenal games. Not that 2 isn't that good, but I don't have the multiplayer memories that I think a lot of people do with 2. But yeah, so it's I'm invested, but I'm not invested enough to worry. If it doesn't come out this year, I will be unaffected. All right. Crazy Herb says, both Sony and Microsoft are rumored to be having events next month, meaning May. Maybe you guys could do some type of E3 type speculation about those events because we aren't having E3. And this is the last episode before May, just a suggestion. So this had personally crossed my mind. Karak, feel free to chime in with any ideas you have for our show. But given the uncertain nature of when events are happening, we could speculate this coming week, say, without any events being announced, and then things can change, right? We need to, like, without E3 was a certainty. Like, you know, like every year outside of this year, E3 we knew was happening in June. So we could base our content like, okay, the week before E3, we speculate, we predict, we make bets, we guess. But we can't do that because let's say we've heard, oh, early May it's happening, but with this whole thing happening in our world, it could get pushed back to now June. So I felt we will do something like that probably per event. Like, let's say this coming week, we have Microsoft announcing, yes, we're going to do an event early May. Then our next episode would be highlighting the speculation. Would you agree with that? Okay, cool. So we'll do something like that. We appreciate the feedback. One of the things I wanted to do, I don't want to say wanted to do, but I've thought about with our show is instead of just going by the news, having like fun shows in general, right? And I think we do a good job with that, but having themes to talk about, maybe focusing instead of like multiple bits of news, like one topic and just having a podcast on that. I think that would always be a fun idea for our show too. So we're trying to, alongside getting more guests, like we've, I think, done a pretty good job with this year. We're trying to think of ideas to expand the show in new ways rather than just following that same rhythm, which we know you guys like, but we also want to make it fun and bring in some new listeners, which when Juice had joined, we had a lot of new listeners, which was exciting. So we know the guests play a big part, and hopefully we can continue to make this a fun show for you guys. Oh boy, here's a good one. This is a great question for me, but also for you. Revlin asks us, been thinking about getting a puppy sometime in the near future. Knowing you both have dogs, what would you recommend on raising/purchasing a dog? Should I go through a breeder? How should I train him? I had a dog when I was a kid, but I didn't have to do any of this. Thanks. Karak, his future's in our hands, man.
I mean, I at least here in Oregon, breeders are done. So
really?
Yeah, they're completely done. You can't out.
Speaking of dogs.
Speaking of the, he literally, that was weird. Like he's been asleep.
He's like, you guys talking about us?
So so basically side breeders can do something, but it's like, it can only be a certain amount of dogs a year, or it's considered a puppy mill and they're shut down instantly now. That was statewide. I thought it was federal wide, but maybe it was just statewide. So like all of our stores have shut down that were like in a mall. So because they just don't have enough dogs because there's no puppy mills anymore, which is good, by the way.
Right.
For getting a puppy, I mean, personally, dude, I'm a big fan of going to the pound. That's me. We've done pound dogs now twice and store dogs twice, but it's from a store I trust, who I knew that they worked with me prior to them quitting and starting the store. So yeah. And pound dogs have been a blast, man. We got Loki, who was 6 months old. And then we got Ming, he was young. He was probably too young. He was very young, actually, but he was a puppy. We got both of those guys. Nice. So, I mean, save a puppy if you can.
Yeah. I would recommend saving a dog. When we got our dog, normally if it were just my choice, I would go rescue one. And we found this place that was a home to rat terriers, which, my current dog that we had originally, Duke, he's a rat terrier, and we wanted to get another to kind of be his brother, because he's getting on in his age, and give him a little jolt of energy, and it's worked really well. They've been getting along, and it's been really nice, and especially during not just the pandemic, but like in this last year, I don't want to get like too deep, but like in this last year, we've lost like 3 significant family members, so the puppy's sort of been the bright spot of the house, pretty consistently. So I am all for getting a puppy. Revan, our newest one, has been nothing but spectacular, but I would recommend, not only, I know a lot of people love the idea of a new puppy, raising them, but a lot of people forget that you can adopt a slightly like a 5-year-old dog, a 6-year-old dog that maybe's been sitting there for a while, man, and my heart breaks for them because I would take them all if I could. But look into that because, I mean,
Agreed.
those dogs, man, they sit there for a while and they may need more help than a puppy, to be honest. The puppy's the new life and it's exciting, but you might be taking a guy out who's been suffering a little bit. Not only that, you kind of get around some of the peeing and shitting in your house.
I was just going to say, dude, which is a disaster.
You dodge a bullet. He's got probably a normal sleep pattern, so you don't have to worry about like with Revan. Oh my God, man, that first 8 months we had him just tearing shit up. He's a lot better now because we've trained him more. But even then, like rat terriers are a notoriously stubborn breed. So know your breed because he is damn hard to train. You kind of have to accept with him. He just tolerates things, and work with him, not against him. And you got to know things like positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, like the difference there. Yelling at the dog often won't teach them anything other than, oh God, I don't want to do this, but they're not smart enough to differentiate what's wrong, what's right. So you just want to reward, for Revan, we would reward him when he does something right. When he does something wrong, it's a quick no. That's kind of it. So he knows the command. He knows when to stop something. But it doesn't really go beyond that, at least from my experience with him. But when we give him treats for being like, he loves to steal slippers. Now he knows the command, drop it. So when he takes the slippers out of my room and sprints out and we're like, drop it, he does drop it right away and give him a treat because he listened. So that's how Revan learns. So you got to know your breed for sure. I don't know how do your dogs learn?
We took them to a very short, I'm pretty sure it was a week. And wasn't a full week, but I mean like an hour a day for 5 days. We took 3 of them to a class and 1 of them not to a class, and I can tell you which one went and which didn't. Okay. The one that didn't is like 90 pounds, but can't figure out why he can't lay on your lap or whatever, and you're just like, fuck, you're huge. But I would say invest in that. I will say investing, like if somebody says I don't have the money for this and that, then I would rethink it. Like because you need to, it's not like a baby. It's not going to get smarter. That's not, dogs don't they're not going to have 120 IQ. They're going to stay at that level forever. And you can teach them basic stuff. But like you said, an older one, a lot of times what'll happen is a pound will do something called vetting, where they hold them for a long time to verify that they're not going to do something lazy. And those dogs are awesome. Because they hear other dogs, they socialize with other dogs. Because like my dogs don't socialize much, so when I take them to the park, they're a little confused over what to do. But like a pound dog that maybe has been there for 5 months, doesn't have to be a super old one even. But dude, those dogs are so good because the pound doesn't want that dog doing something wrong. So like they'll tell you too. They'll be like good with cats, bad with cats. Good with kids, bad with kids, amazing with other dogs, not so great with other dogs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've seen people who are like, I'm not going to get a dog. It's not great with other dogs. I'm like, dude, you live 25 fucking miles out in the woods. Who's going to care? So I would agree with you. I think of older one, if you can, and just check your local pound or animal shelter. We have animal shelters as well. Yeah. It'll be fun no matter what, as long as you know what you're getting into, because the pee and poop thing is crazy.
Know about the puppy, because
they turn into puppies again when they get old.
Yeah,
just so you know, they pee and poop when they get old too.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I did. I'm having it right now.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, it does. I was just gonna say, when it comes to puppies, just know that, I mean, they're very rewarding to take care of. They're the most loyal buddies you can ask for. But just know that they like. I described it in the intro of the podcast that I did the solo show for, and I just described how, like, the last year, alongside everything else that was going on in my personal life, was like, I'd be sitting here working, and every, like, 10 minutes, I'd stop and just leave the room, check on him. Is he okay? Is he chewing anything? Is he destroying anything? Has he shit? Has he pissed? Like, just constantly until he finally goes to sleep. And, I don't know what you have to do for work or anything, but just keep that in mind, that the puppy requires a lot of monitoring, that you're either you're going to need extra sets of eyes and hands on at home, so people have like their free time and room to breathe. So just keep all of that in mind when shopping and let
study
us know.
breeds.
Yeah, for sure know what you're getting
Because you got a stubborn one. You said mine aren't so stubborn, but I've got one that's really smart and he figured out how to open the door, and we don't know how he did, but that's a disaster. It's a disaster because if he opens the door, we might have a gate open, which means he's out. And yeah, man, that you got to make sure you understand if your dog's going to be high energy when you're gone, they'll tear your shit up. Like you'll come home and there will be no couch. So you got to be prepped for that.
Yeah. Cage training them early would probably be good too. I was very against it at first. My dad was like, "We gotta, teach him to like the cage," and I was like, "I don't want to," because I had a big heart. I still do. But it was definitely one of the best choices we made with him because it's like his little den now. He has a sense of security in there, and it helps with like when they either do something wrong or they like Revan. We use this term. It's not even a term. Overtired. He'll just be jumping. He'll just jump in place. He'll try to like bite the end of my sleeve to get my attention. He just wants any attention, whether it's positive, negative. He just wants it, and he'll just cause a ruckus. And eventually, like you're like, okay, you're very tired. Like a baby, you're like, you got to put him down to sleep. Let him kick and scream, and not literally, but like put him in the cage. He'll whine a little bit, and he'll pass out. So cage training also would help. All right. This is why the patron question section is the best. We just don't know what we're going to get. Because after that, so I recently purchased an Xbox One X, says Panicking Duck, because of my old one dying. Now I have a 4K TV. What games should I get that look amazing in 4K? Also, what kinds of music do you guys listen to? Karak, that's all you when it comes to games that look in 4K, because I do not game in 4K.
What?
I don't know.
What your console is connected to what?
Smart TV, like an HD smart TV.
Are you sure it's not 4K? Oh, 1080p. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Wow. So are you gonna do a jump?
I'm gonna have to do a jump for the next generation for sure. The thing is I don't have a Pro, right? Like I don't have a PS4 Pro. I do have the 1S, but I don't have a Pro. So I was just like, I'll buy the console, or I'm sorry, the system the TV closer to the console's release, because right now I have nothing that outputs in 4K.
Oh, okay.
I know it can upscale, but
yeah, that's true. Ori and the Blind Forest for sure looks unbelievable in 4K. Like I would say that's one of the smash, like just fucking phenomenal. Man, I'm trying to think of another like truly phenomenal looking game that's not just phenomenal because I like the art, because that's the problem with me is I'll like art versus like just a 4K.
Gears 4?
I mean, racing Gears 4 no, wait, is it Gears 5 or 4? Which one just came out?
5.
It's Gears 5.
5. Yep.
Dude, so Gears 5, yes, by the way, if he's got an X, that fucking game is insanity. I don't know how they got that to run. So yes, Gears, and of course Forza Horizon is awesome.
Okay, perfect. So what about music? What do you listen to?
Everything but country. Hank Williams Jr. I listened to when I was younger, but that's about it for country.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I just anything but country. All right. We're nearing
Wait a
the
minute.
end here.
Do you listen to real quick hardcore rap?
Hardcore rap.
I don't listen to a lot of hardcore rap.
Define like hardcore rap, like an artist or something.
Past 50 Cent. Old stuff.
Oh, like modern,
like Too Short. I don't listen to gangster rap at all. Almost any gangster rap. Sometimes, occasionally, a song will come that I'll like the beat, but usually, I would say that I'm more into what I won't listen to, because I'll listen to most anything. Like I'll listen to pop.
I like
newer old
rap.
rock.
Yeah, I like some newer rap.
And newer rap is fine. I just don't like that really thick, like super gangster, got my finger in her panties straight, go to work kind of shit. I'm just like, what a fucking dude. Whatever.
Oh man.
Sorry, that's just a lyric that has stuck in my head since day one. I heard that lyric when I was 17.
The rhythm.
Oh, man. Dude, I know the rhythm. My girlfriend sang it to me. It scarred me for life.
Oh, condolences.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a series of questions from Mike Fury. We're going to rapid fire through them. Have either you or Karak played Sims Medieval? Imagine Sims with light RPG mechanics in a medieval setting. Also, it's more scripted and has multiple stories to it.
The best Sims game made ever.
Oh, I've never played it or heard of it. Sounds cool, though.
It's phenomenal.
But
you don't like Sims, so I guess for you, it doesn't matter if it's phenomenal. It's good, though.
2, what type of genre of game would you like to see done with the Marvel or DC IP? For example, I had this crazy idea of mixing Sims elements with Divinity Original Sin, like gameplay along with dialogue choice and consequence, a weird X-Men or Justice League simulation isometric RPG.
Brain is having a fart on that. Oh, so like Ultimate Alliance, but with a huge RPG element? Because you're
He's just saying, those are his examples. He's just like, what type of genre would you like to see done with the Marvel or DC IP? I would like to see a Justice League game with Divinity Original Sin like design and difficulty. That would be freaking wild. See like Superman level a building to clear out and just like find a treasure underneath or something like that. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, Ultimate Alliance is pretty close to what I would want from their games. Oh, I mean, I guess we could say a Batman-style game with a completely customizable RPG character.
Cool.
So, you name him and you create his mansion, but he's not Batman. He's fucking Owlman. I don't know.
I like that. 3, will Ghost of Tsushima be delayed or is it too late to delay it?
It is not going to be delayed.
You think so? Okay. I mean, yeah, it might be getting too close to being late. I think what happened is it happened in reverse events. Usually you delay, then announce. They announced the release date and then delayed The Last of Us. And so people are expecting now Ghost to also be delayed, given the reasoning for The Last of Us. When I understand why people would think that Ghost will get delayed, but I think the idea was they already knew The Last of Us was going to get delayed, so they put Ghost in June. So they're not really losing out in that period. 4, for Karak, what is that Marvel board game with the miniatures that also have their stats on the base of the figurine? And can you give me more info on how to start? That was the one you showed me last week.
Yeah, Hero Clicks, and if you're okay with starting used, you can get it much cheaper on eBay. You can buy like 50 pieces for $25, maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 50 miniatures for $50. It just depends. That's where I would start. And they'll usually just look and verify they have a rule book. That's where you would start. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's all made by Jordan Wiseman, who made Battletech and who did... he's done a shit ton of games. He ran Xbox for a while prior to Phil Spencer. But yeah, they're amazing. You should definitely check them out.
This one, I'm dying to see your answer on this one. On any given day, what is breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you guys? I mean, for me, it just changes every day, but I'm dying to know. It's just...
Dude, I didn't eat yesterday. What for breakfast? Breakfast, never anything. Do you do breakfast?
Yeah.
Do you? Are you usually, like an eggs and bacon kind of person?
I know this is gonna sound so lazy, but it really depends on like what I have ahead of me. Like if I feel like I need an early start on the day and like I just need all the time I can get, probably not making eggs. But I do like eggs. Usually I will take a peanut butter, put it on an English muffin, get a banana, yogurt. That's my go-to.
Oh yeah, I would do peanut butter on an English muffin.
Yeah,
sure.
Because peanut butter sticks, yogurt, banana, good for energy, and I'm usually good for a set of hours there. So you don't do breakfast. What about lunch? Do you do lunch, or do you just have a big meal at the end of the day?
No, I don't really split meat. I mean, I eat when I'm hungry, and then man, this is weird.
You don't eat at times of the day.
Dude, I don't. Like right now, I'm eating MREs of things. Too lazy to make food. I've got old MREs that have been sitting around, which are the meal ready to eats from the military. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, my wife, she's like, here's a steak. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll eat this MRE from 4 years ago. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, I would have the same reaction.
Dude, I'm weird. I just don't care about that stuff. But I would say lunch and dinner, a lot of protein, like a ton of. And if I'm working out, you and I are different. I eat after. I can't eat prior. That's why in the mornings for years, I mean, it's been years since I've had like a religious breakfast. I'll have one occasionally, but
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah. And then mine's just a lot of protein, ridiculous amount.
Yeah, that
Like,
used to be me. I used to have it protein
tons.
and everything. And absolutely
Pretty
everything.
much.
From my oatmeal to my cereal, everything had oatmeal. Or not oatmeal, sorry, protein. So I feel that.
Yeah. I don't do any carbs. Barely any.
Carbs are my
Still.
weakness. Everything I like always seems to have a lot
They're
of
mine
carbs.
too,
Yeah.
but they fuck with me too much.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel so hot when I have them.
I try to be smart. Yeah, I try to be smart with them. I definitely feel better. For me, cheese is what fucks me up.
Dude, bricks of cheese are my dream.
Yeah.
Cheese is so good.
I know, man.
What do you like? What do you slice? Do you like shredded or sliced like the brick and then you just take a slice?
Slice for sure.
It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
it's
just
so bad.
I know. It's like I feel my body clogging up when I have it. And it's like I like cheese on burgers, like most people. I'd say I like cheese. Like I love Italian food, so there's cheese on everything there.
Yep.
Tonight we're having like a ton of Italian food, so it's just I saw it before I came in. I was like, oh my god, there's so much cheese. So I try to do that in bursts too, because I just coming from an Italian household. Yeah, there's just so much fucking cheese.
That's awesome. No, that's good.
Man.
We definitely agree there.
Nick the Rocket says, if you could pick one game to get an expansion with over 10 hours of content, like The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine, which game would it be? 10 hours of new content in any game I choose. I like to see like a new little Sly Cooper game, like a big expansion. Just a couple new levels, like start off, like tease a story. That would make me really happy. Or the Outer Worlds. That I'd love to see more.
That actually was going to be my answer, but I was trying to think of something more like, I don't know, something a little less we've talked about. But yeah, it probably would be Outer Worlds, because I think that would fit. The DLC of that size would be very cool, because it would be really sizable compared to the main one, but it would also still probably sell a little cheaper. I really like that game.
Agreed. All right, Great Ape 51 has 2 questions. Number 1. PS Now's normal annual price is $60 versus the $120 compared to the non-Ultimate Game Pass version of Xbox. Currently, PS Now is 25% off $45, yet it still seems like a bad value. Paragraph break. How would you guys improve this service? Obviously, Sony AAA games day one won't happen. Well, there's your answer.
There's your answer. Right?
Yeah, there's your answer right there.
I mean,
they just give you less value.
Yeah, there's like, it is less for less.
Yeah.
There is no way I can see them matching without matching. Like, they would have to. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And it probably, because their exclusives sell so much, they don't have to.
Or don't want to.
I mean, too. That's a good point.
They don't want to. Like, why would they want to, really? So, yeah. Because I firmly believe also that Microsoft pays these companies who then they look at how many they might sell. So Outer World says, we'll probably sell 500,000 on the Xbox, which isn't as popular as PS4. So you pay us for 700,000. Microsoft says, no problem. If Microsoft is hugely popular next gen, Microsoft is going to have an issue, because it will no longer be 500,000. It will be, they have to pay for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where popularity can hurt you later when you have a service. Very interesting in 2 years to see what they're footing out money-wise.
Yeah. I'd love to see like the numbers and how much they earn versus how much they're paying out. Because obviously they're making money. They're just adding more and retaining. But I mean, you just got to wonder, man, like how much comes in. It's got to be a lot.
Have you ever heard, like if I went to the Vegas, you have to pay for the hotel, you have to pay for all this. That's a negative. And then you have your certain amount of money and you gamble. Only really rich people do well, because those things are so small compared to the main amount. It doesn't affect what they're going to go gamble with. In a weird way, I think Microsoft is so big that they're able to do the subscription at such a way that it doesn't financially affect them. They have enough money to make money.
Gotcha.
Where if it was Sega and they were doing the Dreamcast 2, they wouldn't have as much money, and it would actually be more risk for them. That's what it feels like to me. No company's going to throw money away forever.
All right. Number 2 from Great Ape. Just finished reading the latest Alex Veris book. Veris? Sorry, never heard of it. Urban Fantasy. And finishing up the latest Joe Abercrombie book in his First Law series, A Little Hatred. Paragraph break. You guys reading anything or book genres you tend to like? Are you reading anything?
These are called Benedict. So Alex Veris looks like a world hidden in plain sight, running a magic shop in London. Okay, so an adult Harry Potter are these books he's talking about. Okay. There's a lot of them. Damn.
There's a lot?
Yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And he said the latest. Oh, boy. That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. The latest I'm reading, I am currently reading a technical manual on car engines. Dog, shut up. I'm reading book on membranes, dimensional membranes by Lawrence Krauss. He's a theoretical physicist. Very good book, but you have to read it twice probably because he's one of those guys who's just leaves you the fuck behind. And you're like, I have no clue. Yeah. So I'm no lie, Maddie. I have the cell phone. So when he says something and then doesn't fucking explain it, I go, okay. Yeah. And I'm reading, what am I reading? You know what I like to do? I like to read the behind the scenes, big, thick books you can buy for video games. I have Assassin's Creed and Batman Arkham Knight on a Mass Effect. So I've been reading the behind the scenes. They're big ones. They almost look like official game guides, but they actually are everybody's ideas and notes and art, stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, the only thing I've been reading as of lately is I've had this kind of infatuation with wrestling, as I mentioned earlier, and I've been curious what it's like behind the scenes, because as a kid you're trying to immerse yourself in like this, like, oh, these fights are real, that, you know, how are they faking this? This can't be fake. And obviously now, you know, like, it's more of a performance, more of a art, a theatric, if you will. I'm always curious, like, what it's like behind the scenes, and, you know, you hear these darker stories behind the scenes. And so I'm going to start reading, I think it's called Underneath the Black Hat. It's by Jim Ross.
Very good book.
Yeah. And so I want to give that a read, and, you know, cause he's helped sign some of the biggest, most popular talent that's walked into wrestling. So what's his perspective on things? How did he get there? Just cause I also listen to some podcasts involving wrestling, and it's just very interesting how this world comes together. I don't know how else to describe it. It's very fascinating. So I have a pretty big investment in that, and that's what I've been reading about. That's usually how I base my reading. I'm like Karak, where I like to learn, so I will pick, like you just said, membranes, and be like, what the hell is this? And just get a little knowledge on it. Yeah. Because I'm more invested in, like, psychology. Like, I like reading psychological books or psychologically themed books. But in this case, it's just something I've been interested in a while now, and I'm reading a book that's sort of supplementing that hobby.
I've read so many of the autobiographies, dude. There's so many good ones. Mankind's is awesome. Hulk Hogan's is a little cheesy. That's not too bad. Diamond Dallas Page's. You had troubles with Hulk Hogan's?
No, I said Shawn Michaels had one.
Shawn Michaels had one. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I haven't read his. But yeah, they're fun. People should read those if you're listening, and they're actually very enjoyable to see the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Paco Luigi said, Karak mentioned donating to a family in need today on another podcast. Any organizations / causes, etc. that y'all recommend for donation so we can all be bros with humanity, gaming slant or otherwise?
Yeah, Salvation Army is still taking stuff, and I would say even if you're not religious, but you know somebody who runs a church or is at a church, they do. Most of them have switched to online service. That's my wife. She belongs to an online service, and that's how we do a lot of ours. Some of them won't take physical stuff because they're worried about the virus, but there's a couple that have a certain day, and you can take your shit in. But I would say start with Salvation Army, and then Red Cross, and then just look it up, because it'll be different for every,
whether you want to go local or not.
Yeah, churches though are probably the best, because I'm not saying I don't trust the others. I do. Red Cross doesn't, like, you give them $1, probably only 25 cents goes to somebody. That's life. That's how businesses work. But with churches, I've seen my stuff on people. I mean, I've seen kids playing with the toys I've given to a church.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So obviously they're getting them. So I think that might be where you want to check.
I would also say look into a church. I feel like that's a more direct method. If you're looking monetary, like Karak said, just online, you can look it up, and I'm sure you can find something. But I would suggest if you have physical stuff, look into a church.
And good for you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't remember who that was, but
Paco Luigi.
Paco Luigi. Paco Luigi. That is a name. We got some awesome Discord names.
I know, we really do. I always love reading them because they stand out, so we always know when there's a new one. Like that's a new one.
Yep.
Yeah. Good job. That's awesome that you're going to be donating to. All right, Natural Calamity is our last question. He added a third one when I had posted our little message saying, like, hey, if you guys got anything else you want to add in, go ahead. He says, when you see the success of Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal releasing in the midst of a pandemic, why do you think other developers wouldn't take a chance to release their game now?
Because not ready now.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's just the cuts that have to clearly be made. I think that's half of it.
You mean to get it out?
Yeah,
in a time frame they weren't prepared for.
Yeah, I think there's sacrifices that they're like, why don't we wait let's say they're releasing in the fall. Why don't we wait 3-4 extra months?
Oh, I see what you're saying too. Yeah. So a game that is done, maybe even why. Yeah. There's multiple reasons. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure true. I mean, we'll see some. I don't think anybody expected Doom to sell. I looked at the numbers. I was pretty blown away. Animal Crossing was nuts. Did you see the numbers on that?
Yeah.
Dude,
it was like 5 million, I think, or something like that.
It was more than the others combined, or at least
I think
ever for each one.
Smash and Pokemon or something like that.
Yeah, the numbers were just. Reg was reading them during the podcast. Wait, what? Like, how the fuck? But the thing is, people are quarantined, So it's like.
Yeah, Animal Crossing there was a palpable amount of people excited for that, man. There was so many. It was ridiculous.
I think it feeds also to you and I noticing this patron jump though. I really do. Because I get people and we're all talking and they're like, hey, I got nobody because of this and that. And so I know they won't be there forever. That's fine.
100%.
But I think that's why you see some of these sales happening. I think some companies can't make that quick jump and switch their release time because it's just too hard for them. They're small, or big. Just depends.
Like I imagine a game like XCOM is going to do better now than it probably should have done.
Agreed.
$10. I don't think you're going to see like, oh, it sold 3 million copies, but I think it's going to do a lot better than they probably expected. Just because, like we said earlier, just $10 is a little easier to spend if you feel a little burnt afterwards because it's not a hole in your pocket. Yeah,
they fucked up no console versions, though. Well, they didn't fuck up. They had issues with the PS4 and Xbox XCOM 2. There were a lot of frame rate hitches and stuff, so they didn't do it. But, dude, this one is all in little rooms. I'm questioning why. I think it would be a good console title because it's a little bit more edible.
It's surprising because I guess maybe it's because they know XCOM 2 is coming to Switch next month, so... I don't think that stops them, but does that make them say like, let's hold off until we get this right?
That's true.
Because then you have this month it comes out. Next month you've got XCOM 2 on Switch. Maybe June you've got this I forgot what it's called, Chimera Squad. Sorry, coming out on everything else. I don't know. You got 3 months of XCOM remaining relevant.
That's true. True.
Could be a worthwhile path just to keep it in people's heads because XCOM is such a big series, but it's not like a juggernaut. Like it's going to sell tons, but it's consistently good in my opinion. But yeah, it's just not like a big seller as far as
XCOM's only real bump has been Bureau, and Bureau still sold okay. It just wasn't critically liked, and like they've got a lot of games for having most of them be good.
Yeah. All right. That was our last question, Karak. We are done for the week. We're free men once more. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for your time. We appreciate you giving us a listen here on whether it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when this podcast goes live to everyone, or sometime during the week, or even after the fact. We appreciate you giving us your time. And with that in mind, Karak, is there anything you'd like to say to close out the show?
If you do get a chance to donate, please do. People don't think about it, but you may think I don't have anything. If it's not always about money, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can donate clothes.
Yeah,
easily.
you can donate clothes. Things that you do not feel are useful, I bet you $1 million are useful to somebody else who can't, just go and grab it as easily as you can. So I would suggest to do that if you get a chance. Now's the time, guys.
If not now,
life is
then when?
shitty. If not now, when? Yeah, we're quite literally in another Great Depression. So now would be the time.
Yeah, I agree. If you have the means to do so, of course. So
yeah, of course.
Stay awesome, people, and thank you for tuning in to episode 249, and we'll catch you guys in next week's show. 250.
Peace out.
Peace out.
250.